us to really do what could be called as a reality check, a ground check. And we've come to one of the most wonderful malls of Mumbai, Geo Mall in BKC. And guess what? We are not in Singapore because this time Samir Arora actually is in India and he's right here in Mumbai. Fantastic to meet you in India outside the studio. Dinshaw, you haven't changed at all. I'm meeting you after COVID.
You also become fitter now.
Compulsions, Dinshaw. But he's graying, Samir. He's graying.
And because we have been together for 22 years, so he better grey along with me.
I got to match him.
Is that wisdom or stress from Samir Arora?
More of stress from Samir.
So that I can relax. But I tell every company that if you work hard, I don't have to.
That's a great way of saying that. Look, for investing, it's simple, but investing is very easy as long as you get the good company.
Correct.
Right. Samir, we'll talk about markets, but I just want to understand a very simple thing about psychology. There is so much of information available. Anything happens in the developed market, anything sneezes, we pretty much get to know right now. And if you miss on anything, then Samir Arora is there on the Twitter to educate you, right? With so much of information available, do you think investors have become smarter?
Not necessarily. Because I think we keep saying that information is now everybody's common and you need knowledge, how to interpret that information. So let's take some examples. Let's say a result is about to come, and so some people have that information and let's say some don't, and there is trading. But immediately after a result is out, the volume of trading increases. Now everybody had that information. Still there is some people who think it is too good a result, too bad a result, I should take profit, I should book my profit, or I should start a new position. So basically the information these days is neutralized very fast, even if somebody had it before. But still the game doesn't stop, because how to interpret that information is the issue. Is a 30p good or bad? Is it to be short or long? Is all a view on that or knowledge on that rather than just the information.
So over the years, Samir Arora has become a good investor because, you can fill in the blank here, because he understands the difference between boom and bust, which is how to value a business. He's been lucky, or he keeps it very simple by understanding and applying common sense.
So it is mostly common sense, which is to differentiate between good and bad. And also, everybody makes mistakes. But if over the years we have made so many mistakes, now we have to find new mistakes to make, because the old ones we remember. So that is what experience brings in, which is that we have had all the mistakes that I can sometimes see new people making now.
Dinshaw, they say that in markets, nothing changes. History keeps on repeating itself.
Right.
There was a cement boom at some point in time. Who thought that cement stocks could trade at P multiples of 100? Who would have thought that companies which do not have profit will have commanding market caps of 10 to 15 billion dollars?
Right.
What is your understanding of where we are right now? Because an outsider, when you look at the world, there is an energy crisis in Europe. It's heat or eat.
Right.
Ya to kha lo ya ghar garam kar lo.
Right.
There is recession in Europe, and India is outperforming as if there is no problem in the world.
Right.
So what's happening?
So basically what we believe is that India, if someone sitting outside looks at India today, he would believe that India is something that he cannot miss. He has to be here, right? Look at the internal dynamics of our economy and all. Yeah, consumption is driving it. We're looking at outsourcing becoming a big part of the economy. Manufacturing outsourcing. Services are always a case. So what are you talking about? You're talking about a GDP which is expected to grow at a phenomenal pace, probably one of the fastest growing economies in the world today. But all said and done, we cannot ignore the global scenario also. I mean, if things are not working out, there'll be a point in time when even we will believe that, okay, India looks overpriced, and probably that panic will play out at some point down. But today, it doesn't look like it. Today, it looks as if we are in a good place. We are very close to our real interest rates. I mean, as in closer to the zero of the real interest rates. We are the closest to that, in fact. So that way. So that's what's playing out, I believe.
In terms of economy, we are the 5th largest now. In terms of a market, we are amongst the top quartile in terms of the size. A market of this size, can we be ignorant to what is happening in the world? Because there is export, there is IT, metal prices are a function of what the global demand is. So realistically, an economy of this size has to get impacted with what is happening in the world.
So first thing is we are not ignoring, because we are not up, we are only flat. Which
But
is
we've not gone down also.
Yeah, correct. So the second is that ultimately, although many people think it's an absolute game, it is also a relative game. If China is doing badly for its own reasons and macro reasons, if Europe is doing badly for whatever reason, And US is not doing badly, but the US Federal Reserve wants it to do badly so that it can cool it down and bring down inflation. Then India relatively has to be benefited. And relative benefit means that we have to fall less. Now, we could have fallen 5% here or there. But our outperformance was very clear from the beginning on your show also in the past. I said, outperformance is guaranteed, absolute depends on the world. And in that sense, absolute we have not really done. So I think it'll come when, because US market, if it has to fall, it has to fall in this quarter. It can't fall next year for what may have happened in terms of interest rate hikes now, which might come in the next 3 months, September, October and December.
So, Dinshaw, market के अलावा भी है life यार. Fund managers are always considered to be very serious. Only talk numbers and only talk about benchmarks. Your office is in BKC.
Right.
What time do you reach in the morning?
8 o'clock.
And Samir is in Singapore, so he must be getting a 6:30 India time. So when you get up in the morning, the SMS from Samir already.
Yes.
But mostly I don't get.
Don't defend it. Don't defend it. Got on the camera.
I work from it, but I don't.
8 Singapore time.
8 Singapore. Now maybe 8:39 Singapore time. Yeah.
So what's the first thing you do when you come to office?
So basically read up on my emails because I know that this gentleman has already read up his emails and 8:30 we have a morning call.
We have a call.
What time do you start eating now in your office?
After 8 o'clock. Okay. So 8:30 we have a morning call and
By the
he'll
way,
ask us.
for 17 years, nearly every day of our life, we've had an 8:30 call. Previously, we used to do a like a phone call.
And it's
conference.
always markets. You don't talk about cricket match,
At
Wimbledon,
8:30, you
nothing
can talk
else.
for 1 second here or there because there were 3-4 of us at that time. Now we have 6-7 guys. But what I mean is for 17-18 years, every day, to have a call on whatever is the happenings of
So
the
no
day.
concept of holiday.
No, holiday means I'm talking about the working days only. I mean, on all working days. No, not on Saturdays.
इतना खराब नहीं है job. So for young guys who are watching that, you have to work so much. It is not that bad.
No, not
No,
really.
not bad at all. And I am very conveniently located where for me it is 11 a.m.
So Dinshaw, this mall has a lovely food court, and I've been told that they've got chaat with Samir like there's a pizza which both of us will enjoy. So I think it's time
But
to
you don't like
explore
chaat?
it. More like a pizza guy.
We had a lunch which was consisting of chaat.
Okay, so we're going to go and explore something there. You know, with Samir, every time when there is chaat, चर्चा बहुत अच्छी होती है, right? तो ये बड़ी famous दिल्ली वाली चाट है.
Acha.
And Dinshaw, have you ever tried chaat?
Oh yes.
Huh?
I'm a Delhi.
I thought it would be always the Parsi delicacies which you would enjoy.
No, I am born and brought up in Delhi, so I am.
He knows Punjabi also.
I know.
That is like classic of a fund manager, right? Multi-talented. Dinshaw, it is said that you make large money when you go against the conviction. You have to be in contrarian. Has that worked in your favor in Helios, in the way you managed money?
My belief is that you make large money only if you're early. Maybe you're a contrarian when you're early, but the fact is that conviction has to come in, right? Only
Please
then
help
can
us,
you hold
Sanjay
on.
bhai.
Thank you. Only then can you hold on to your conviction as such. And that's why we believe that we are very good stock pickers whenever the markets give enough time for us to identify our stocks, play with the numbers, check out how they are and stuff. So that's what we believe. I don't think being a pure contrarian makes you money. You don't have to be that all the time, but you have to be early on your call. So, you want to add something?
No, I agree. For example, nowadays our top holding is ICICI Bank, and we bought it in this round because ICICI we had bought.
ये जी
once in
गोलगप्पे
the
आ गए
past.
समीर भाई.
मूड ही ठीक हो गया.
मूड ही ठीक हो गया. देखिए, पानी पूरी बोलते हैं, ये लोग गोलगप्पे बोलते हैं.
हम गोलगप्पे.
हम गोलगप्पे बोलते हैं. आप क्या बोलते हैं उसको?
गोलगप्पे.
गोलगप्पे. Nothing changes गोलगप्पे. रात को 12 बजे.
इंटरव्यू के बाद खाएंगे. So, like even a big stock like ICICI Bank, we bought in 2018. We bought Bajaj Finance in 2011. So, I mean, I may not have put it, but he's absolutely right. It is not so much that you were going against consensus or being a contrarian, but that you were early and buying it in a smaller way first, maybe 2.5-3%, and then buying a number of stocks. The hit rate is 40%, 35%, which you do really well. Rest, if you can do sort of break even relative to market, then those out of 20 stocks, if 7-8 do very well, you are set.
Now I'm going to take the clock back. यार गोलगप्पे लीजिए.
गोलगप्पे बाद में लेंगे, पहले चाट खाते हैं. हाँ जी, हाँ.
The Samir Arora met in 2000. I was in a different profile. We were managing a different fund. He bought into private banks. Everybody bought into private banks at that time. in
Not
terms of-
everybody, that's why we did better.
No, everybody knew that private bank, the wave was coming, right? But the point I'm trying to say is that for those who bought in 2000, perhaps did not held on to private banks for 22 years. So at 2000, in 2020, when you bought HDFC Bank for the first time, आपने सोचा था इतना बड़ा हो सकता है?
नहीं, हमने actually, I bought it from the IPO in 1995.
Okay.
So from that day, it is there. So we say and think,
Some chutney,
and
some
yesterday I met the,
तड़का चाहिए, दिनशा भाई तड़का. समीर भाई का पंजाबी तड़का होना चाहिए.
and you know, we met Shashi yesterday. So the big picture is that we are buying a stock for a 1, 2, 3, 4 year period. And you are basically always reviewing it and you are saying it is again okay for the next 1, 2, 3 year period. So you are not straight away thinking that this is a 25-year stock. And in some sense, we have held it for 25 years, we say we are not long-term investors in the bank. It continued to do well, we continued to hold it. And therefore, you are always looking in increments of 1, 2, 3 years. So the 25 year is an outcome, not the starting point. Some stocks we held for 8, 10 years also. We held Kotak Bank for 10, 15 years. But these things will be decided when that stock or that company is doing well. And you are saying, okay, chalo, let's review it after 6 months. You're still doing well, why will we sell it?
Dinshaw, how did you, as a money manager, deal with moments of panic? 2008, 2020. There were reasons to believe that even after a 50% fall, another 50% fall was coming. And I've read a beautiful quote, and I'm going to quote not a fund manager here, no Buffett, no Rakesh, Jhunjhunwala, no Samir Arora. I'll quote Napoleon. Napoleon has said that genius is a person who does not do silly things when the world is going insane. So 2008 and 2020, the fact that you did not go into the panic mode made all the difference for the future returns. So what was going through your mind in 2008, 2020?
A little in 2008. 2020, actually, let me answer. There was not enough time to panic.
4 दिन में.
It went down and went up and before, but if it had continued for 2 months and there had been no progress on vaccine and something else, we may have also panicked.
So you started your interview by saying that you learn the market, you learn from history, right? So that's what we learned in 2008 was a big lesson for us. It's not disconnected. India cannot be decoupled from the world. We always thought that time, and that's why that bulk of the panic we held back because we said India, nothing's wrong with India, right? It's a global financial crisis. They're doing very well and stuff like that. But it proved a lesson to us, right? I mean, banks corrected 40, 50%. In 2020, as Samir put it, the correction was pretty sharp. So anyway, that didn't
Before you
panic
could
us.
sort of absorb it, it sort of went back. But in general, and there's another rule also. If you want to panic, panic early.
Right.
So right now we have effectively panicked over the last few months on tech.
Yep.
And we hold zero tech.
Samir Arora zero tech.
Nahi, after running a tech fund
Yes,
also.
exactly.
So the thing was, if we
So when did you sell tech?
we sold about 20-30% in Jan, which I told you that time because of very high P's at that time of these guys. And then we have sold a little bit and finally we sold everything on the Jackson hole day, which was the balance.
What is the logic?
The logic is that if today we say what is the problem with the world, it is a problem with the US Federal Reserve, not a problem with them, but them trying to bring down the US economy or slow it down or even bring down the stock market per se. And we had about 11-12% in tech at that time. And so if we say our domestic economy is doing well, India is doing well, but the world is being held back by very poor European economics and pressure in US, these fellows, clients are all in Europe and US. And if you see like today Goldman Sachs put it down or whatever.
Double downgrade I think for
down.
TCS.
And everybody went from buy
But
to
have
sell.
they not become cheap?
No, they are not cheap. They are cheap if they were going to grow at those big rates. But otherwise, every day you will be worrying that some US client has brought down his budget or these new startups who have been spending on tech. And there is no need because the rest of India is doing well. So we can buy banks and we can buy consumer, and that is what we have done. Now at least 10 days are over or 15 days are over.
So even from the pre-COVID levels, the stocks are still 30-35% more expensive on valuations, while the growth rate from 4% would be around 6-7% as such. So that's the call that we.
No, so the point I'm trying to just bring out here, just moving back from the tech, is that over the years, I guess what you've done as a fund manager is that you've not taken too many large contrarian calls, but you've been very disciplined.
Yes, that is true.
You've been very disciplined. The number of no's you say to a broker when they give you a stock idea is far higher than the number of yes.
Correct. So actually, if you see, our performance is a bit good, which will show.
I'm tempted to buy a golgappa. आप नहीं खा रहे, मैं नहीं खा पा रहा.
Which our performance is a bit good, which I'll show you separately. But broadly, it has come without betting on any one name and letting it run.
This is the.
And letting it run out of hand. So therefore, it has been, as we say, robust performance, because it is made up of a large number of 3%, 2.5% type positions, and not having found one stock and letting it go to 20-30%, which in a fund structure anyway doesn't work. But we have slept broadly well every day of our life, because if suppose you say tonight one of my holdings has had some bad result, it is not going to change my sleep, because it will be some 2-3% of my fund, 4% of my fund, and I can handle any of these unless they all happen together, which actually didn't happen for a few months in 2008. So 2008 also we realized that if we had to panic, we should have
Was
panicked.
that darkest moment of your career even worse than 2020, the tech sell-off?
2020 was not dark. 2008 was dark in the sense that because it went up a number of times in between. So you felt that it is over. Plus we were saying India is not affected, we are not affected by Lehman Brothers, ICICI does not have any loan, or HDFC we met. So that made it tougher, because we were at that time not so cognizant of global versus India. We said India hamara hero. Now we say India outperformer but connected to the world. And you can see that this year, Indian market is not up a lot.
But we are not down a lot.
Yeah, we are not down a lot, but we are not up a lot because the world is down a lot. And we will go up a lot if they were stop falling, which I think will happen maybe next 2-3 months.
So, Dinshaw, let's look at the big picture, the realistic big picture. We are chutney. तड़का समीर भाई को हमेशा अच्छा चाहिए ना, पंजाबी तड़का. Always say on the channel. When Samir भाई comes, the Punjabi tadka comes on the channel. The GDP of India will be 5 trillion soon. Now we are debating whether it is 3 years, 4 years, or 5 years, which means the market cap of Indian stock market has to eventually become $5 trillion in 2, 3, 4 years.
Right.
So if the market cap has to become from 3 trillion to 2 trillion, what will
3 to
add
5
that?
trillion,
To 5 trillion, sorry, 3 trillion to 5 trillion, what will add that 2 trillion?
So our call has been very clear. We think financials are a big part of this growth in markets, right? And second one is consumption. So if you see our themes today, Nikunj, mainly it is this two. I mean, financials, which is BFSI together, and consumption. Again, consumption is, as we had come on your channel, both of us, and told you.
So there you own Vedant and you own Campus.
No, we own many of them. I mean, 10, 15 companies.
10, 15.
Because we own Lemon Tree, and we own Indian Hotels, and we own McDonald India, which is Westlife, and we own Zomato, we own Titan, many. So obviously you have to, and all of them are fortunately nowadays.
But Samir, the whole idea is that if you buy a good business at a bad price, this is a criticism for most of the brokerages that Titan महंगा है, Zomato का earnings नहीं आता है, Westlife is priced to perfection, Trent is an outlandish price stock, or even something like Vedant Fashions, I would imagine.
So I'll tell you. So we also say that we are very sensitive about valuations. But first of all, these are 2 to 3%. So let us say on 8-10% we have not been sensitive a little bit. But the difference between these and the old consumer companies is that those guys were growing at 8-10-12% because they are related to India story. These guys are all highly under-penetrated. So for the next few years, these guys can grow at 20-30% or 30-40% for these newer names. And 30-40%, if it compounds only 2-3 years, and after that they also come to a 15-20%, that is a big difference between a 10-12% growth and a 30-40% growth.
That is what is happening in tech. So tech...
No, not tech. It is happening in these new consumer names.
I'm saying when you compare tech, it's not going to be more than a 10% growth.
Nowadays they're saying 6 to 10%. This is too low for India, where the Indian GDP will grow at 6, 7, 8% in dollar terms. What is the point of paying 30 times or 25 times for a 6-7% growth? But if you go to 20%, 25%, then that is mostly happening where the sector is under-penetrated. It is not happening in sectors which have been around forever and companies that have been around forever. So few companies, even we agree that our valuations might be a little higher than what we normally like, but we are justifying it on the basis that these are newer things which are massively underpenetrated, at least initially, and then if they can graduate.
मजा नहीं आ रहा दिनशॉ,
Mutual
कुछ खा नहीं
fund.
रहे दिनशॉ। मेरे को आकर के आपको यही देना पड़ेगा, मतलब ये तो हद होती है यार।
नहीं, this is a bit messy to eat. That's why we are
No, it's okay.
rather.
हमारी नज़र है उधर।
हमारी नज़र है, इसको सेंटर में रखते हैं,
Let me
इसको
take
साइड
that
में
thing.
करते हैं।
Yeah.
लो जी दिनशॉ, आप चालू करो। हम कहते हैं कि अच्छे काम में देरी नहीं करनी चाहिए। गोलगप्पे तो भैया रेजिस्ट होते ही नहीं है, एटलीस्ट मैं तो रेजिस्ट कर नहीं पाता हूँ। आई डोंट नो हाउ दिनशॉ इज एबल टू रेजिस्ट इट।
ये क्या चीज़ है?
ये जी बॉम्बे की स्पेशलिटी है।
अंदर डालना
ये यू मस्ट ईट दिस।
हम नहीं डाल रहे।
अरे एक्सपेरिमेंट तो करना पड़ेगा। लिटिल बिट ऑफ कॉन्ट्रेरियन बनिए थोड़ा।
ये आगे
अच्छा, वो नीचे से
अच्छा,
खोलना
इसको ऐसे करना है? वो बड़ा हाईटेक है तो।
सिंगापुर में चाट खाते हो आप?
हाँ,
मिलती है बढ़िया चाट।
ये बड़ा मुश्किल काम है यार, ये थोड़ा मुश्किल है।
Is Samir a good boss?
Oh yeah, so the good part about him is that
I want to know the bad part first, and then you tell me the good part.
the bad part is that he keeps revealing my age to everybody.
Which is?
Not
Who's
to
younger by the way?
By the way, do I look his boss? No, I don't
You
think
tell me your age and his in general.
so. I am below 61.
Dinshaw, has he managed to beat you here?
No, not really. I'm below 57.
Samir, you know, the world in a sense has always, global investors have always admired Warren Buffett as the ultimate god. I mean, Berkshire Hathaway is a temple where everybody wants to go to worship, right? But here we have Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, a common friend, and he's someone who in a sense changed the definition of the way how Indians look at stock markets.
Correct.
He entered Indian stock market when bears were making money. He
Achha.
came to the stock market when in a sense every 10 years you would see one scam or the
Some
other
new fellow
scam.
going on, हाँ.
And here he comes, he in a sense was very open about what he was buying, why he was buying, and he was inviting others also. To me, he's the real hero of Indian capital market, who understood the Indian true
Correct.
picture more than anyone.
Correct. So I agree with that, and I think the way I talk about him is he made it look to the normal retail individual that stock market can also make him rich, and he was a role model, because an institutional guy is not a role model for a retail investor. So small part or a big part of the attraction of retail investors or pulling the retail investor in the market would be people like him, because we are seeing as an individual, he is not backed by any this thing, and from 0 or 5,000 or whatever, he has made it. So that I think is the biggest contribution. The second thing is, for people like me who were at that time, you know, starting out in 90s and all, he would be absolutely open. Which in the end we could say we were also giving some ideas, but in the beginning we were only receiving
But
advice.
he used to
and-
leverage and he used to trade.
Correct.
Now, when I would ask him that you advise others not to trade and you are trading, his answer used to be a typical Rakesh Jhunjhunwala style, डैडी विस्की पीते थे मुझे मना करते थे. He's trading bad.
Well, we also trade because we are a long short fund. So if you want to call the short as trading, was we mean we are not doing intraday shorting or even 1 week shorting, but we are doing 3-4 months shorting. No, nothing wrong with it. Control अपना होना चाहिए. And definitely we are not leveraging. We are shorting with the context that we have 100 long and we are shorting some 20, 30, 40% short. So it depends, but I agree with this part that in theory, if you're a good investor, you should be able to do everything. Why do you have to say I'm a value investor or I'm a growth investor? अब भाई एक स्टॉक आप ग्रोथ के लिए ले रहे हो, वन स्टॉक इज इनक्रेडिबली चीप तो आप वैल्यू के लिए ले रहे हो. इसमें इतना ब्रेन का वो नहीं होता कि आई कांट थिंक ऑफ दैट. I think it's just that people artificially make distinctions in many of these things.
So Dinshaw, last question. I've been asking this question to all my market guests, something which I asked Rakesh Jhunjhunwala 2 years ago. I asked Hiren there 2 days ago. I'm going to ask you today. And you're from Bombay, so you'll understand this. That's the reason I'm not asking Samir by this question. If the bull market is like a train journey, starting from Churchgate to Kandivali, right?
सारे स्टेशन पता ही नहीं कौन से.
So, where has this bull market reached? Churchgate is the
ये भाई
starting point.
अंग्रेज आदमी गाड़ी में जाता है.
नहीं, बॉम्बे में रहे तो समझ जाएंगे.
I think probably Marine Drive.
चालू ही हुआ है.
चालू ही है नहीं वैसे चालू है बिकॉज रिलेटिवली इंडिया
बुल मार्केट चालू है.
नहीं बुल मार्केट नहीं हुआ भाई. बुल मार्केट 2 साल टोटल चला है ना. अगर आप उसको गिनो इसमें आप इसलिए गिन रहे हो क्योंकि आप वो 30 डेज या 90 डेज और मार्च को एक एंड ऑफ बेयर मार्केट गिन रहे हो.
हाँ जी.
नहीं ऐसे नहीं गिन सकते. बेसिकली यू आर relative bull market in the sense कि first time the world is also appreciating that India की position relative to other groups. Which are the groups? There are 4 groups: US, Europe, China, India. आपने जापान को करना चलो 5th group गिन लो. So marginal new money कहाँ पे ज़्यादा जाएगा? Not relative to US. We are not getting more money than US will get, but relative to our own history. वो तो इंडिया की डिस्कवरी अभी हो रही है या हुई है अभी हुई है या अब वो भी पूरी नहीं हुई.
बहुत मज़ा आया. थैंक यू वेरी मच एंड यस चीयर्स टू मेनी मोर लवली इवनिंग्स आउटसाइड स्टूडियो. एंड नेक्स्ट टाइम यू आर हियर होपफुली व्हाई जस्ट चार्ट we shall go and celebrate perhaps at different places in Mumbai.
We are having butter chicken with me.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.